chrome tanned leather or vegetable tanned leather? Which one is better? The answer is not that simple. They're similar at first, but they're made very differently. They age differently and they're used for different things. In this video, I'm going to talk about how they're made, the pros and cons, and which one is right for you. I'm Anesu Sagonda and I produce educational luxury content for anyone after the finer things, whether you're young and starting out in life and wanting to reap the benefits of buying better quality from the get-go, or you're into luxury but you want to focus more on high quality under the radar brands, or you're new to money and wanting to learn how to navigate the terrain, then my content is geared towards you. Chrome tanned leather is leather that is tanned using chromium salts. There are two types of chromium salts that can be used, hexavalent and trivalent. Hexavalent is less commonly used. It's more of a strong oxidizing agent that's used in corrosion protection or hard chrome plating. It's a product that's high toxicity. It's carcinogenic if it's inhaled. And it's incredibly mobile if it gets into the environment. So if it gets into the water system, it can destroy aquatic life. What's more commonly used is trivalent. Trivalent is stable, it's low toxicity, and it's less mobile if it gets into the environment. The chromium salts are used to stabilize the protein structure of the hide. The hide is raw, it's prone to rotting. And once it's been processed using the chromium salts, it becomes leather that is durable, it's flexible, but most of all, it's rot resistant. Chromium tanned leather is soft and supple to the touch, and it typically takes anything from a few hours to a day to process. Vegetable tanned leather is sometimes referred to as vegetal tanned leather. That is the word that is used in France, Italy, and Spain, whereas in the United Kingdom, we refer to it as vegetable tanned. Both are exactly the same. Vegetable tanned leather is leather that is tanned using natural tannins. Think, for example, leaves, twigs, bark, wood. The hides are placed into a drum, and in the drum, they place the natural tannins. And they can stay in the drum for anything from a week through 2 months. How long they stay very much depends on the thickness of the hide and the fiber structure, because you need to allow enough time for the natural tannins to seep through the entire hide. I recently went to visit a tannery in Igualada in Spain called Splenda, and they're focused on vegetal tanned leather. And they place in their drums, together with the hides, mimosa bark and quebracho. And it stays in the drum for a week. Their vegetal tanned leathers are fairly firm and they're heavier than other vegetal tanned leathers I've come across. In the United Kingdom, there's a legendary tannery called J&FJ. It's the only remaining oak bark tannery in the United Kingdom. They use oak bark because it has traditionally been used for 100 years. It works, so why change something that works? And they place the hides in a drum. And depending on where the hide has originated, the butts, for example, they place the oak bark with the butts for a period of 12 months. And the shoulders and the bellies need 6 to 8 months for the oak bark to work through the entire hide. Their leathers are lightweight, they're incredibly strong, and they're hard wearing. And so what are the pros and cons? Looking specifically at chrome tanned leather, it accounts for the majority of leather that's sloshing around in the world. About 90% of leathers are chrome tanned leathers, and that's largely due to its fast production. It can take anything from a few hours to a couple of days to tan the hides. And what you'll also notice, because there are significantly more chrome tanned leathers in the market, is that they tend to be cheaper than vegetable tanned leather. But that's not always the case. All leathers have to be taken on a case-by-case basis. I recently introduced to my channel a legendary French tannery called Rémy Carriat. I'm going to attach the video above. Rémy Carriat use phenomenal quality hides that are tanned to absolute perfection by a third party, and then they're brought in-house where they are dyed, dried, and finished to the end product. All of that is done to an incredibly high standard, and you ultimately end up with some of the best chrome tanned leathers in the world. The quality is absolutely exceptional. Their leathers are expensive, and they're expensive for a reason, because first of all, they're starting with really high quality hides. They're tanned to perfection, and then they are dyed, dried, and finished. The processes are many, and they're all executed to an incredibly high standard. So you ultimately end up with leathers that are exceptionally well tanned. You get what you pay for. They're expensive, the many processes. And so you cannot assume that all chrome tanned leathers will be cheaper than vegetable tanned. There will be exceptions. And it's also worth noting that chrome tanned leathers are not all created equally. They are varying qualities. Some will last a significantly longer time, like Rémy Carriat, a lifetime. And some can be used for a few months, a couple of years, before you start to see the wear and tear. I have really made it a focus of my channel. I talk about high quality under the radar brands, to be really intentional about the brands I introduce to you. I will always do my background research to ensure that the brands I introduce to you, they are at a very minimum using very good quality hides, if not exceptional quality hides. That way, you know you're going to get products that are going to stand the test of time. So please always be mindful of the quality of the chrome tanned and what the limitations are. Another big pro is that they have much better resistance to staining, heat, or water damage. And you also have access to a significantly wider color palette. You pretty much can get all of the colors of the rainbow. What typically happens is when the hides are tanned, you end up with what are called wet blue hides. They're light blue in color because the chromium salts are blue. They're able to take a lot more colors, and therefore you have access to a much wider color palette when it comes to chromium tanned leathers. What can you use chrome tanned leather for? You can use it for clothing. So think of jackets, trousers, for example. It can be used for upholstery, leather goods, bags, small leather goods, wallets, and so forth. And it also can be used to craft footwear. What are the cons? There are a couple. The first and the main one is it doesn't patina, or you may have, there are a couple of ranges from Rémy Carriat, for example, that do have minimal patina. And patina is ultimately what a lot of consumers will buy leather for. Its ability to age absolutely exquisitely. It'll darken and develop a very subtle sheen on top. That is something that doesn't happen with chrome tanned leather, because chrome tanned leather, they typically will strip out the oils from the leather, so it loses that ability to patina. The second con when it comes to chrome tanned leather, I alluded to it right at the beginning. There are potential environmental risks. Brands need to be incredibly mindful of the products that they use, firstly to tan the hides, but also how they dispose of the waste afterwards. I recently went to visit a number of brands and tanneries in Igualada in Spain, and they are located in an area where they have a central water waste treatment plant. It's there specifically to ensure that they are able to efficiently and effectively get rid of any waste that comes about because of the tanning in a way that's incredibly environmentally responsible. Vegetable tanned leather has two distinct pros. The first is the main reason why a consumer will typically buy vegetable tanned leather. It's for its ability to develop an absolutely stunning patina. With age, with wear and tear, the color will darken, it'll deepen, and it'll develop a very subtle but exquisite sheen on top. And vegetable tanned leather is also rigid, so it can be carved, embossed, molded, burnished, for example. What can you use it for? It can be used to craft saddles. It can also be used to craft bags, briefcases, small leather goods, think for example wallets or belts. It can also be used to craft shoes, in particular soles or premium boots. What are the cons? Well, the first is vegetable tanned leather takes a longer time to produce. Anywhere from a week, a couple of weeks, for example, right through to 8 or even 12 months, for example. And that is very much dependent on the thickness of the hide coupled with the fiber structure and which natural tannins have been used. The butts, for example, take a lot longer than the shoulders, for example, shoulders and the belly. And depending on the natural tannins used, you need to ensure that you allow enough time for the tannins to work through the entire hide so it is all tanned. And so what you'll typically find, because of the lengthier production period, vegetable tanned leather tends to be more expensive. Another con is it's not resistant to water or stain damage, for example. Depending on the quantity and how long the water sits on the leather or the liquid and how strong it is, you can get permanent damage. You will see blotches, for example, developing on the hide. Even if it's just water, you may even see blotches that are permanently going to be on the hide. They may lighten with time, but you'll always see little blotches. The final pro is the color choice is incredibly limited. Natural tannins are used to tan the hides. They need to allow a period of time to work through the entire hide. What you end up with once the hides have been tanned is wet brown hides. They're either brown or tan in color, but they don't take other colors very well, and therefore the color palette is limited. You can only really achieve browns, more dark browns, tans, and earthy tones. And so which one is right for you? If you are after leather that is soft, it's durable, it's lightweight, and you'd like access to a fairly wide color palette, possibly for products you're going to use on a daily basis every day, or you're somebody who would like the color to remain consistent, you don't like the idea of the patina, it is possible, then chrome tanned leather. Vegetable tanned leather, if you're somebody who likes the patina, who would like to see the leather darken and develop the exquisite sheen, then definitely vegetable tanned leather. And if you'd like something rigid that you can possibly carve or mold into various products, for example, then it's absolutely perfect. But what I say, and will always say, please focus, please be incredibly militant. When you are buying products, do your background research. Find out where the leather originates, how it has been tanned, if you're given a name. I will always mention names of tanneries that are fantastic. And if you hear of an artisan or a brand using leathers from a certain tannery, then you know you're in very good company. So think, for example, tanneries I've already mentioned, the French tanneries, Rémy Carriat has. You also have Dupuis, Dannonnet, for example. In Italy, if you hear Mastrotto mentioned, fantastic tannery. Or Spain, think of the likes of Cortida Badia, Incusa, Mireille, Fontenay, and Mati. They are good tanneries. Any thoughts, any questions, anything I haven't explained clearly, do let me know in the comments section down below.